So last week, something pretty awesome happened, and it's that we had somebody that had no clue who I was, zero idea of what my business was about. So, completely cold audience, not from a referral, not from a friend, not from a past client, basically found us and ended up enrolling with us as a 30K client within only 12 days. And I want to talk a little bit about how we've made this happen and how we actually have that some things like that happen literally every single month. Like, what are we doing to attract these super high level coaching clients into our businesses that are completely cold leads, right? Not people that have been around for years, not people that have been in my circle, in my Facebook group, or follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, or well, I don't use Twitter, but on any of these places, right? How something like this happens through ads, essentially. Again, like literally a completely cold audience. So I really want to get into this because I think that it's so important for us to understand how do we communicate and how do we sell to premium clients in 2023 and obviously beyond 2023. Maybe you're watching or listening to this in 2030, and I would probably say that what I'm saying right now is probably even more evolved at that point, but meaning like we're going to see more and more of it come through. So what I feel has happened in the last few years is that market has gotten more and more and more saturated. There's a lot of people, I feel like, especially after 2020, where so many people were like, okay, I lost my job, or whatever situation happened. So they're like, I want to launch my own business. I don't want to have to depend on my employer. So a lot of people came into the market as a result of 2020. There's so many coaches. There's so many people being certified. There's so many people that are looking for coaching as well, that there's just a lot of noise. And so what happens is that the strategies that used to work in terms of selling to premium clients in the beginning are not necessarily working in the same way anymore. So, which makes sense, right? Because it's like, if you only have seen one webinar in your life, you watch one and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But if you've seen 50 webinars, you're like, okay, I get what I'm seeing right now. And then on top of that, you see these ads, and I don't know about you, but I get served with these ads with like insane claims that you're like, I'm not really sure. And you've enrolled into some of these programs and not getting as much results from it. Definitely not what those claims are about. And my point with this is really saying there's a lot of skepticism in the market. There's a lot of people that are now very careful about who they invest their money with, right? And so how is it then that somebody like me can come in with a webinar, a variation of it, and I'll explain this in just a moment. How does somebody like me come in with a webinar and is able to actually enroll a 30K client within days of meeting her? How can something like this happen? Or not even meeting her, within days of her being in my email list, because it's not even meeting her. That was obviously much, much shorter. It was like a span of 4 days since we actually met. So, okay. So here's where I want to go into. Messaging is fundamental to be able to really sell to premium clients in 2023. And like I was mentioning, market is more saturated. Your audience is smarter than ever before. So what happens very often is that these kind of insane claims and messaging that speaks to pain, I call that Ursula language, where you're speaking to the poor, unfortunate soul. It simply doesn't work. And I want to kind of begin this conversation by defining what a client that is premium is, or a premium client is, in the first place, because I feel like this is a crucial part of the conversation to have, right? So a premium client isn't somebody necessarily only that has the money to pay you for working with you. I mean, obviously that's always important as well, but it's somebody who is resourceful, who's an action taker, who's responsible for their own success, who views investing as a necessity for what they desire, somebody who dreams big, somebody who has big ideas, who's willing to take action and do whatever it takes to solve the problem, who's not in a state of victim mentality all the time, not in a state of despair necessarily in their situation, although they could be. But that's what I view as a premium client, because I thought before I thought it was only about money, right? About, well, you have like you have the wealth, you have the income, the financial stability to be able to work with me. And sure, that obviously is something that is important, but that's not the only thing that matters when it comes to talking about premium clients. And I've learned over the years that what we want more than anything is to work with clients who are going to get the absolute best results when they work with us, right? Like, I know that this technically it sounds like it makes sense, but oftentimes, I don't know about you, but oftentimes what does tend to happen instead is that we might enroll somebody who has the money, but they're a little bit too much in a sense of despair, or in a sense of like, I really need this. I need you to come and save me. I need you to come and help me because I'm in this terrible situation. And you enroll the client, and it becomes a little bit of a nightmare because they're zero resourceful and they need a lot of hand holding and they need your help. And it's like you have to answer to anything that they desire at any moment during the day. And it's like you're their, like personal assistant all day long. And that's not what coaching is supposed to be about. So that's not who we want. Instead, we want the type of people that we give them our information, our expertise, our knowledge, what we're really good at, and they can take it and take action with it. And yes, there's accountability that's necessary for this process, but they're taking action and doing things on their own. That's what I think is a premium client. Plus, they don't see you as their savior. They understand that nobody is my savior. I'm my only savior of anything, right? I'm the one that's responsible for me succeeding, and this is part of life. And some things take time, some things are faster, some things are slower, and that's normal. So that's what I feel a premium client is, and why I feel it's so important to work with these types of people. On top of that, what I find is that when you enroll the right person into your program, obviously, and like when I say right person, I mean like the right person, right? Obviously, what's going to happen is that they're going to take what you have, they're going to run with it, they're going to get results, and you're going to have this like amazing case study, not only to drive in more clients, but to drive up your certainty in yourself, like your own confidence, right? If you have a client who's crushing it with your program, obviously you're going to feel extremely excited about that, and it's going to make you feel better. There's a little bit of that external validation there. Whereas if you enroll somebody who's like a terrible fit, but they have the money and they fail with everything that you do, you're going to feel like crap. And your confidence is going to go down, and it's going to become even harder for you to come out and sell and do your thing. So that's what we want to focus on. But how do we speak to these people, especially when we know there's so much market saturation, when there's like every other ad that we see is promising the same thing, is saying the exact same thing. It's like you see these 19-year-old kids building these like 8-figure, 9-figure businesses. And you're like, how is this possible? How can I compete with these kids who are doing these crazy things? And maybe you're like a 19-year-old and you're like, yeah, that's me. But anyways, how do we do that, right? And really, it comes down to being able to leverage your expertise as much as you possibly can. I do feel that one thing that is, I feel kind of like a necessary, what's the word? Like something that's really important, or condition maybe, or qualification to be able to work with this high level, like the type of person who will pay you $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 or more to work with you. And I have a client, for example, that charges $300,000 to work with him for a whole year, just to give you an example. So those clients do exist, or the people that charge that and the clients that pay that exist. But I do feel that a requirement for that is that you actually do have to be an expert at what you do. I do think that having a couple of years of experience, unless it's like hardcore experience, couple of years of experience, I think is not necessarily enough. I feel like what's necessary is for you to be able to have enough experience that you have a point of view. And that's where bringing in what I call your angle of mastery really makes a big difference, because to be able to speak to and attract a premium client, you have to say things that are different. You have to say things that are radically sometimes different than what the rest of the industry is talking about and what everybody in your niche is teaching your clients to do, and even probably things that you've learned yourself, right? You have to go and move into a different direction, because otherwise you're going to sound like everybody else. And for you to be able to speak to and sell to a premium client in 2023 and beyond, what really matters is that you learn ways to speak to people in a manner that makes you sound absolutely different than everybody else. So that's what I call your angle of mastery. And it's really diving deep into your expertise, creating a lot of concepts, methodologies, frameworks, processes, systems, whatever you want to call it, but bringing these things into your content, bringing these things into your marketing strategy. I do really believe that this makes a massive difference. And that angle of mastery has to do with a few different things, right? Number one, really having a great definition, ideally a conceptual definition of what your audience's problem actually is. The more that you understand your audience's problem, number one, how they view the problem, but number two, what the actual problem is. There's a difference between what somebody thinks the problem is and what the actual root of that problem is. So you have to be able to articulate both of these things in a way that sounds compelling and sounds different, and you're bringing in these concepts that are kind of mind-blowing and truly powerful, and again, something that your audience typically hasn't seen or heard in the past before. So we really want to think about that. That's the first part, I feel, of around the angle of mastery. The second part of your angle of mastery is having I call it your breakthrough message. It can also be called a domino belief, but essentially it's like, what is your premise? What is the point that you're trying to make? What is the thing that you're actually selling, right? And it's not coaching. It's something deeper than coaching, right? So the more that you understand, and these two are very tied together, like the root of the problem and that breakthrough message or a domino belief are very tied together. They can often not exactly be one, but just one be connected to the other, basically, right? So to give you an example, my breakthrough message would be something like, you don't have a marketing problem. It's that you haven't learned how to speak to the ready to invest people. So I'm telling you there, kind of like changing your perspective of why you're experiencing this problem and that root cause of the problem, which for me is you haven't learned how to speak to the ready to invest people or the premium clients in the first place, right? So we really want to understand and have a lot of clarity around, okay, what is my angle? What is my vision? What is my point of view? I see so many websites and I hop on calls, and we'll talk about that in a second. I hop on calls every single week with people, and they're completely like, they might have pretty websites and sometimes even decent messaging, but what I feel is that I don't see a point of view. You're not giving me a reason to choose you. And premium clients, they want to make sure that they can trust you. And the best way for them to gain your trust, yes, obviously testimonials help, all the things, that's awesome, but it's not really enough. It's not enough to have testimonials. I think that in the world that we live in, people can be skeptical even around that. So the real way for you to prove your expertise is to share it, show it, like walk the talk or talk the walk, right? Like literally within your content, you have to show this expertise. You have to explain things to your audience in a way that they've never heard before. And you need to really reveal that angle of mastery, reveal that point of view, reveal like, why you? Why should I hire you? Why, when there's a million versions of you, why do I choose you? So the clearer and better you are at doing that, the more powerful everything that you do turns out to be. So I do have a training where I walk you through some of these things, and you can find that at readytoinvestclients.com. I walk you through some of these pieces and what a ready to invest client is, and how to know if you're not speaking to the ready to invest client, and how do you know if you have a messaging issue versus a marketing issue. So I go into a lot of those things. I'm not going to go into it today, but go to readytoinvestclients.com to watch that and figure out and kind of find out those things. It's a quick 20-something minute video that is extremely powerful, and where I really focus on showing you my angle of mastery as well. So you can see me do that live right there. Or not live, but you know what I mean. Okay. So The second part of selling to, actually connected to that. So we have our messaging, and that needs to be included within our marketing, right? So whether we're doing a webinar or whether we're doing videos on TikTok or whether you're doing YouTube or Instagram or a video series or a challenge, I don't care what strategy you use for marketing your business. It doesn't matter. Your angle of mastery has to be present throughout everything that you do. You have to show that expertise. It has to be seen, and you have to do it and articulate it in a way that is really actually powerful and insightful and giving your audience breakthroughs, basically, right? So from there, I want to talk a little bit as well about what the sales process looks like, because I feel like another thing that is definitely not something that works anymore in terms of marketing is using the sales process that is very high pressure. I don't know, like just buy today. If you buy today, you get this massive discount, like all of that. I mean, that works, but not from a premium client. So what I mean is, if you're selling something that is very high ticket, right? So a 10,000, 20,000, 30, 50,000, whatever it is offer, it's very unlikely that you're going to make a sale in that way, because premium clients, and specifically, again, when I go into premium, I'm not only talking about having the money, but also being resourceful, right? These people, there's a different way that you treat them, right? Think of it like I talk about, like how if you want to buy a Birkin bag, you can't just go into the Hermes store and be like, I want that one. You have to be invited in. It has to feel like a luxury experience almost, where you're building a relationship with your audience first, where you're giving value first, where you're the one that's deciding where you're going to be inviting people into in your business versus like them shopping at a Walmart, right? That's not what we do. So building a premium experience in terms of the sales process is also really important. So what we do, and you can go ahead and test it yourself at brandmessagesession.com, is that we do these free 15-minute brand message sessions or brand message assessments where we evaluate people's brand. So I go, literally it's me, I hop on the call with my client or my audience or my leads or prospect, whatever. I hop on a call with you and I look at your websites and I give you highly specific feedback on things that you can immediately improve, who you're speaking to, how you can change that conversation or communication so that you attract better quality leads through your messaging. So that's what I focus on. But I don't even sell on this call. It is not actually a sales call. It is literally a call so that I can pre-qualify you. You can see if you like me. I can create more demand for what I do. I can give you a little bit of me, and I can be kind of almost coaching you, not exactly coaching you for free. We do have a very specific strategy around how we do this, but we are giving you so much value that it gives you that feeling of wanting more. And so from that message, brand message assessment session, what we do is we invite people, the ones that are the right fit. And there's a lot of things that determine what makes somebody a good fit. We invite them to book a sales call. I call it an invitation call. And even before that call, I've already sent you pricing. I've sent you information about the program. I'll tell you what program I feel like you're a good fit for and the program we're going to actually sell to you. You don't get to choose. We choose. Well, you can, obviously, but I'm already even determining what I'm going to sell you before the call. And what that does is that there's a lot of personalization in that process. And for premium clients in 2023, this is truly what's needed for them to feel like this is actually a premium process. This is something that's powerful, that's unique, that's different, that's, I don't know, like that's tailored to me and not like, let me just sell to you for the sake of me selling to you. So that's why we do these 15-minute calls. And obviously we teach our clients how to do this as well. But that's what I feel is necessary to sell to premium clients in 2023, building a premium experience. So what I invite you to do is to audit your whole brand, audit your business, audit your funnel if you have funnels, or audit your strategies, right? What does your messaging look like? Who are you speaking to? Who are you enrolling? What does your marketing sound like? Does it actually sound different? And what does that sales process look like? And is this a sales process that is really focused on building a premium experience? So This is what I really believe is necessary to sell to premium clients in 2023. It's literally what we're doing and how we're crushing it so much with our systems and our processes. So I'm really excited for you to be able to kind of experience it. Let me know in the comments or in the chat below what you think, if this resonates, and I will see you in another episode.